Rob the host with his mic like a knife. Cut through the dark, slice stories of life. Whisper shiver down the hall tonight. Phantoms aching for a chance to ignite.
Hello, we're starting fresh here today. I'm Rob, Hoots All Ghosts Live. We're going to be reading Reddit stories. We are looking for people who are interested in sharing their paranormal experiences, whether it's ghosts, ghouls, aliens, or more. We just want to hear your story. Just live people, live reactions. This is a little bit of Oops All Ghost here. Today is Thursday, April 24th. So yeah, we're going to get some awesome Reddit stories, hopefully here, a couple of them. We are on Spotify as well as YouTube. So if you want to check us out at a different period or rewatch, that's a place to hit. Hopefully it's going to be a bone-chilling story, but let's find out. A few years back, I lived in Berkshire County, Massachusetts, named for the Berkshire mountain range. The Berkshires are actually a sub-range of northern Appalachian mountains, and I assume if you're spending any time in the paranormal spaces like this forum, you know weird shit happens here in the Appalachian. I guess I figured since I was so far north, I was safe from the usual appy haunts. Safe to whistles at night, or walk in the woods alone, or to not close my curtains after the dark. It was either late summer or early fall of 2020, and my fiance and I were leaving the tiny suburb where we lived to go to a nearby bigger city for cheaper groceries. In order to get there, we had a 20 to 30 minute drive, the first leg of which was through a heavy wooded hilly area. It must have been around 6 or 7 during this evening. Still, out and well lit, through visibility was poor, because everything is lush green bushes and trees. We were driving up a hill road with a couple houses both sides of the streets full to bursting with plant life. The green was super dense and impossible to see into. It was warm, so we were driving with the window down. As we got to the top of the hill, we heard a strange noise. My partner and I both grew up surrounded by woods and wildlife, so we knew deer when we hear them. Some people who are unfamiliar with deer might think they're serene and totally silent, but when deer want to be loud, they can make some haunting sounds, especially if it's a male calling long distance. It's like a long booming honk, like a war horn. Think in a family of a bagpipes, but with an edge that clearly marks it as animal instead of mechanical. Anyway, we recognize it as a deer, but it sounded wounded. The honk was distressed and wobbled at the end like the deer was losing strength. Unfortunately, people speed in the area, and it wasn't unbelievable that some jackass had hit a deer and drove off without calling an animal control or helping in any way. We couldn't see skid marks, blood, or a body on the road. So I asked my fiance to pull over into someone's driveway so I could check the dense fog on the sides of the road. Deer like to hide themselves and hide their babies. And I, a bleeding heart animal lover and also an idiot, was on the verge of panicking about how we're going to help this injured baby deer. I was already making plans to visit the veterinary hospital in the area that kept late night hours as I began pushing aside bushes and looking around. I've never interacted up close with a deer, so I was making soft little "come here kitty" sounds, cats being the only reference at the time. I searched the bushes on the side of the street and the houses, which was slightly less dense because of the driveway. But I found nothing. I checked both ways and crossed the heavier wooded side and began looking there. I don't have the best eyesight to begin with, so sorting through the green was difficult, and it took me some time. My fiance was busy speaking with the homeowner of the driveway we were parked in. He had come out to see if we had an accident or a flat tire, and if we were okay. Luckily, I heard a rustle. My heart dropped as I realized it was right against the edge of the road, in the very first row of bushes. Not an ideal hiding spot for a deer, which meant that poor creature might have been in the worst condition I thought. If it couldn't drag itself deeper into the foliage, I moved downhill towards the sound, placing myself right at the crux of the road. A blind corner. The rest happened so fast, but for me it felt like slow motion. I bent down to move some branches aside where I thought the rustling had come from, hoping that the animal wouldn't run or try to jump at my face. So I was entranced with finding it, with helping. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I left a hurt animal behind. I finally cleared the bottom of the bush, seeing the ground with the leaf litter. Baby deer camouflaged nicely to the fallen leaves in the dirt. So I stared into the space hard, but there was nothing there. No shape, no eyes, no movement, just dust and dirt. Still, I felt compelled to stay there in that position, back to the road. It felt like I was looked long enough the deer might appear in front of me. What actually appeared directly behind me was a speeding minivan taking the turn way too fast. There was no sidewalks on the street and no guardrails. There was just a blind turn and a bad driver who couldn't calculate right. And me at the edge of the road, not looking. I heard the van, and that alone forced me to rip my eyes away from the bushes. I threw myself out of the way of the van and into the leaves, tripping backwards until my back hit the tree that steadied me. I had only been a moment and a few inches away from being absolutely creamed. The van didn't even stop, didn't acknowledge that they almost flattened a person. My fiance called for me, the search for a deer, which we hadn't heard call again since we first pulled over. It was too dangerous to continue. I looked both ways about 1,000 times, panicking and jittered my way over to safer side of the street and the driveway we were in. We got back to the car, listened a moment more, and then left on our grocery run. My fiance could tell something had happened, and I believe they had suspicions that something other than just the car spooking me had occurred. I didn't want to talk about it. We were still driving through the woods after all, and we'd have to drive back this way. I kept it to myself. The pull I had felt, the hypnotic way I could have spent hours looking in that hollow in the bushes, the way I felt so sure I would find the injured baby I was looking for if I just stayed right there in that spot. The way I was sure now, as we pulled away, that there wasn't and had never been an injured deer. Something called me to that spot, and I ignored all of the alpacan advice I had ever heard. I answered, and I almost ended up smeared on the pavement for it. I don't know why whatever was there wanted to cause someone's death. I don't know why I was able to avoid it succeeding. I don't know a lot of things about the motivations of the old things that live in the Berkshires. What they are, why they do what they do, if they hate us or if they're just hungry. But what I do know is they exist. They're dangerous. Every bit as dangerous as the southern cousins. The northern alpacans may not be as popular of a topic, but they're no less old, wild, or vicious to the southern counterpart. I guess I'm posting this because I want people to know that, to remember that. The mountains are older than bone, older than the rings on Saturn, and shit, just as old as existence here. If we lose sight of that, I think some miles of distance, different boundaries protect us. We're walking into a trap, eyes wide open. Be careful, whoever you are on them. And if you hear something call to you, no, you didn't. Ooh. I think a lot of us on the Paranormal Encounters have heard many stories about that place in the forest. And it's so hard, especially like there's videos out there that are so well done or just so spooky. What do you guys think? Do you think the North is just as bad as the South stories we're normally used to seeing? All right, so this was about a day ago, and once again the title is Dark Tall Person Following Me Since My Childhood. Ooh, that's a bit of a long one, so sit back, relax. Hello, this will be a little longer read since I encountered this at first when I was a teen. It all started when we were playing hide and seek in the construction site next to my house. I was the seeker, and when I walked up the balcony, I saw a black, tall, shadowy figure walking next to our fence. That was for the first time I have seen this figure. Later on, a couple of weeks later, I was visiting my friend's house, and once again we were playing hide and seek in their house. And while I was seeking, I passed the bedroom of the parents. And while I was passing, I looked inside and have seen a shadow figure peeking at me from behind the bed. However, this time, I was able to see it in more detail. And it was a tall figure dressed all in black with no face, with black hat. That was the first time I got really spooked and told my friends later on what I saw. However, they did not believe me. After a couple of years, I have not seen it anymore. I had just a couple of weird feelings and encounters until I graduated and moved to the capital of my country. And I moved in with my now ex-boyfriend. I always had very bad feelings when I was alone that somebody is with me in the room, no matter where I was, until I met my neighbor. And she was some kind of witch. So, after moving to our new apartment, I started to see this person again in our house, only when I was alone. It was standing in the entrance to our apartment, just watching. Or, when I was taking a shower, I literally jumped because something said my name out loud in the bathroom. Then one night, while I was playing, that was the scariest encounter. A face came from the left side directly to my face, and that made me jump and scream. At the moment, I stood up and told out loud, "I don't know who you are or what you are, but leave me freaking alone." Sometime after that one night, me and my boyfriend, we woke up to a very weird sound coming from my right side of the wall, where on the other side was nothing. It was like a scratching sound that moved under our bed and behind our bed. That was the first time my boyfriend got really scared, even though he did not believe in the paranormal stuff. After that, I had a couple of nights without any encounters until my neighbor came to visit us, and we had a deep talk. One point, I never told her about this before. She had no idea about any of this happening before. She asked me from nowhere, "Hey, I have something to ask you, but please don't get spooked or anything," she told me. Don't get scared, but there's somebody in your bedroom standing and watching us." It's a tall, dark person, and it's standing on the right side of the bed. I went completely pale, and I told her, yes, that's my side of the bed. After that, we both went silent for some time, then processed what she just told me. And from there, it started to go a little crazy. Every time she came to our house, she asked me if I could close the door to the bedroom because it's really creepy to see it standing there and watch it. Oh, another couple of weeks passed by, and then she asked me again, like, hey, did you do something? I asked her, no, why? Because the thing is standing now on the left side of the bed. I went pale and told her, yeah, we had changed sides and I sleep now on my left side. And she told me, oh my God, the thing may be really attached to you since it's moving everywhere with you. Later, she started to see it also in the living room every time when I was in the living room. But I had no idea what was its purpose or what it wanted from me. 3 years have passed and we moved to Spain, where I currently live. And it seems to have passed on to my sister because one day she called me and told me, hey, you remember your dark, tall friend? I said, yeah, why? Because he is haunting me now. Do you have any idea what may have been? I have seen a lot of paranormal stuff when I was a child, also a teenager. And I still sometimes have weird encounters, but it's not as intense as it was before. I also have a video of a bottle where the lid started jumping up and down on its own with no gas. The bottle, nothing, it's just started moving up and down. I may upload it for you guys if you want to see it. Thanks. Advance. Ooh, that was pretty spooky stuff. That one actually gave me bone chills there. I'm getting a lot of stories about a dark man in a hat. Like, is that a lore? Is that a legend? Is that part of spirits kind of coming and haunting? I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? Haunted hotel room experience 3 years ago. I was staying a night at a hotel. My brother had driven me there, and he didn't even know the room number because I got dropped off at the front. It was about 9:30 p.m. when my phone in the room rang, and I had thought maybe the front desk was calling for whatever reason despite the time. It was also, of course, I answered. I said, hello? But I didn't hear anything. What I think was the slightest breathing, but I couldn't be absolutely sure, so I hung up. Not even 10 minutes later, the phone rings again. I answer, as I did the last time, and said, hello? 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 And again, what I think is slight breathing. I wasn't so sure. About 20 seconds of nothing, I hung up. Same thing in less than 10 minutes. So I'm getting a bit uneasy, and I decided to unplug the phone, then call the front desk on my phone and ask if someone had called for me at the front desk and explain what was going on. And I was getting uneasy. They said if it happens again, that they'd move me to a different room, but I told them I'd temporarily unplug the phone for the night. I was honestly waiting for the damn phone in the room to ring again despite it being unplugged. I thought it was especially odd because it was a prank. Then the person would have to call the front desk first, then the front desk would connect them. And nobody knew what room I was in, and even the front desk wouldn't call them. I also know it wasn't the front desk worker playing a prank because I would have heard the TV that was on in the lobby. Plus, the worker said if she needed anything from me, then she would have just called my cell phone. Still, can't explain it. After all this time, I was probably much more unnerved than I thought I was back then. I'm not one to scare easily. I might have kept the TV on all night and kept the light on. Like, there's no logical explanation for it. Nobody knew the room number besides myself and the employee, and I asked them not to give out if anyone called looking for me, so nobody else knew. I still think about it occasionally, because it was an odd and unnerving event that was brief but still unnerving. I didn't even bother looking up the history of the place and don't even remember the name now. Ooh, what would you guys do if you had a chilling phone call where all you hear is breathing? Would you say something? Would you unplug the phone like this person here? I know I would be out. I'd be out of the room. I'd be like, no thank you. Alright, so this one was posted 5 months ago and no one has upvoted it. That's a lengthy one, so we'll see what it's about. About 3 days ago now, me and my boyfriend and my 2 kids moved into a new apartment. But it's not the apartment that's the problem. I've actually had this happen to me here and there my whole life. I don't think I'm crazy. I don't think I'm hallucinating. I'm not the only person who sees it happen to me. Only one other has, but we don't talk anymore. Anyways, me and my family just moved into a new apartment, and today my boyfriend left to go out for a while. Me and my youngest baby were here alone, and it felt like I was being watched, which, as I stated before, I've experienced things like this before throughout my life. But the more it happens, the more scared I am. I was laying in my bed playing with my baby, and of course I could see a shadow on the wall by my bedroom door. Before you would step in the room, in the shape of my boyfriend, he wasn't home. It was just me and the baby, and before I noticed the shadow just sitting on the wall, I had already ran in and out of the room a couple times, thinking I heard walking upstairs or noises downstairs or from other rooms, which are empty. I haven't really even unpacked, but we were alone here. And I've seen the shadow after finally sitting down to play with the baby, after getting spooked by the little noises I heard before. Sorry if I get a little lost. This is all like contracted together. But when I seen the shadow, I just froze and stared at it on the wall, expecting it to move, but it didn't. I eventually forgot about it, but it makes me feel so uneasy. I don't see it, hear things like this all the time. It's just every now and then I get the chills and that odd feeling, and then I either hear something or swear I see something, even if it's from the corner of my eye. Am I being followed and watched by something that's not a person? I don't know how else to ask that. Am I crazy? Yesterday night, I had the hall light off and my bedroom door open, and even though it was pitch black in the hallway, I still had that feeling of uncomfortable, almost like something was watching me or moving in the dark. But I couldn't see. I had bad vision. I love God. I love Jesus. My soul goes to them. I don't believe in no crazy shit. I believe in the Bible 100%. So even if something's been following me for years now or watching me, what did I do to deserve it? Why is it watching me? Why is it following me and making little things like this happen occasionally? It can't be a good spirit if someone felt the chills and eerie feeling. I get before I hear or see something, you know it. Don't feel like a good person. It almost feels like the older I get, the closer I am to finding out what it is. But the thing is, I'm scared to see it. For sure, I'm scared it'll one day make its way face to face with me. I've had this feeling for years now. Whatever it is, just waiting for the perfect time. There's never a day I'm alone, and I feel like the day I am, it's going to run straight at me. I just feel it in my bones. What is this? Am I crazy? I feel like it wants me alone, and it scares me. I have plenty of other memories of stuff happening to me that I can't explain. And I type it all down, but I'm just going to post this first and see if anyone cares to listen more. Because I'm sure this whole thing sounds like I'm loony. But I'm physically been harassed as a child by whatever it is. Was a time it physically tried to get me, and it was the scariest unexplained moment in my life. Someone please read and respond to me. Give me your opinion and thoughts. Let me tell you about other times. I need someone to listen. I don't think I'm crazy. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't take anything at all. I'm a mom of two with a busy kid-filled life. And it doesn't matter where I am. It's attachment issues. I actually enjoy time alone. I don't think it's some kind of mental issue. I don't know what to do. This all started when I was 10 years old. It was mentally, it happened physically in the dead of night. Woke me up asleep. Whatever it was, yanked my pillow out from under my head. Everyone in my house at the time was asleep. It was Christmas Eve night. After my pillow got yanked, I got an eerie feeling for the first time in my life. And then it tried to rip my blanket off me while I screamed, crying, begging whoever or whatever it was to leave me alone. When it did stop pulling my blanket, I hid under it for a little while, and when I poked my head out, there was nothing there. It was about 12 at midnight. My pillows was really far from my head. Something took it right under me and woke me up. I remember walking around my mom's house at the time. Everyone was dead asleep. Ever since then, weird stuff has been happening to me. It's been 11 years now, and it still goes on at this time, tormenting me. I'm grown now with children, and it still wants to mess with me. That last one was pretty wild. Like the haste, it was all like just one big sentence. There was no periods. There was no like paragraphs. It was a really hard read. Maybe that's why my eyes are bugging me. Definitely. Oh man, I have a feeling there's some truth to it. What do you guys think? Let's see. This is 1 day ago. 0 upvotes, 8 comments. So it says, we moved into this house in September last year. As far as we know, and we're told by the neighbors, a Chinese couple in their 70s lived here for 20 years before we moved in. We experienced several things to believe there's a spirit in this house. A couple of examples. 1. I was sitting in my room, and next to me is my nightstand. I had a plastic cups, and between those and the wall was a soda bottle. What? I was sitting in my room, and next to me was my nightstand. I had plastic cups, and between those and the wall was a soda bottle. Okay, that makes sense. While playing a game, the soda was flung at me like it was thrown. My friends heard it happen. 2. We have a dog toys lying around and hear the squeaking toys go off at night. Dogs are with us in bed. 3. I've been touched 2 times now, which is why I'm posting this since it's getting more physical. One instance, I was in the kitchen and my dog was laying in the living room and I felt something tug on my shirt. It was not my dog and I was home alone. Then, tonight, I had my shirt tugged again. I turned around and no one was there. We've had other things happen, like doors slamming shut, laundry room door opening, stuff we set down disappear, and our dogs see stuff, bark at things that we can't see often. Like for instance, We were in my gaming room, and one of my dogs stood up suddenly and was barking, looking at something across the house. We checked several times, and nothing. We assume the spirit is nice and not a bad one. Any thoughts? So they feel like it's not like a bad presence, even though it's like tugging on their shirt and stuff. What do you guys think? Like when it gets physical, what would you do? Peeling your shirt go, your dog's unexplainably barking at a force or something in the room. That's always scary. Like there's just a lot of tales and beliefs that animals have a closeness to the paranormal aspects. Do you think it's true? So this one says 2 days ago. It's got 1 upvote and 11 comments, and it says maybe there's some kind of poltergeist jester in my home. So it says, I'm a medium, and I have been my entire life. I do all sorts of spiritual practices, but this time, something really weird is happening. I think I'm witnessing a paranormal phenomenon, but I can't feel any energy associated to it. Here's the thing. I go to have a smoke outside, and every time I come back, I leave my lighter on the pack and the pack of cigs on the table next to the door. For the past 4 days, the lighter would vanish from the spot, and today I left the pack of cigs, a box of matches in the same spot, and they vanished. Even the cigs. Last year, I had a period where I kept losing keys for good, never finding them again. And I thought I was being clumsy until eventually it stopped. So wondering if a spirit had taken the lighters, matches, and cigs, I said out loud, "Hey, I don't know you yet. If you have taken my lighters, matches, and cigs, or anything else, I want to ask you to please give them back." And immediately after, I found the very first key I lost last year. In a place I would never look, behind a decoration close to a wall. It was covered in dust and just hidden there. I'm starting to feel hopeful and getting the other stuff back. Anyone ever dealt with anything like this? How does it usually work? I also lit up some white candles for spirits because they usually like it. My thoughts on this. I lose stuff all the time, so like I can kind of like resonate on that. I never think of like spiritual, but maybe I'm haunted too. That's what I'm going to start telling the wife. I'm haunted too. That's why I keep losing my keys. This is 3 days ago. 3 upvotes and 7 comments. It says, sounds in my house. I was alone in my house, and my 2 cats were with me in my bedroom. Usually I have a dog, but this night he was at a friend's place. At some point I hear a sound which seems to come from outside the house, and I can't really distinguish the nature of that sound. The same sound repeated itself, and it was gradually more frequent, the closer to the house. At some point I have an impression it comes from somewhere in the house. It sounds like a dog bark, but coming from a smaller dog than mine, as if it's more high pitch. Then I hear it again, right behind my bedroom door. It doesn't sound like a dog, but a woman imitating a dog, a girl barking. My cat doesn't seem to hear it. They want to stay asleep. Slowly and quietly I get out of my bedroom and check the corridor, the kitchen, and the living room. Nothing. I have no clue what it was. If it was a spirit, a skinwalker, a mimic, or just some kind of hallucination. I'm a little scared. What do you think? Oh man, I hate spooky noises at night. And I think every house has them, whether it's settling of the house or just someone moving. And, the wife, she gets to stay cozy in the bed. Well, I gotta walk around the house and hope to God I just don't play out every horror movie I've ever watched. Native reservation camping experience. This was 6 days ago. This has 27 upvotes and 27 comments. And it says, last July, around the 4th of July, me and my family went camping on Luenzo Reservation. There was 7 of us total, and I was the odd one out, so I slept alone in the tent. For whatever reason, my family had my tent on the outskirts of the camping area and not too close to them, which was near the river that flows throughout the area. Every morning for 3 days, I was awoken at 4:53 a.m. to the sound of someone or something walking outside my tent. The walks were slow, and it was just walking in circles around my tent. It was still dark outside, so I was never able to see anything or anyone's shadow. The walking would go on for about 10 minutes until it would abruptly stop. I was naturally terrified because I was alone and not close enough to the adults. If something were to happen, after my first night this happened, I told my family and they gave me a knife. Or if someone were to try and come into my tent or something. But that honestly didn't comfort me as much as I wished. That's fair. A few months later, I was watching a video of someone at the same camping res, and when I was scrolling through the comments, I saw a comment of a woman saying she loved the scenery, but she swears she felt spirits. I messaged her and asked her what had happened, and I was absolutely shocked when she told me her experience, and it was almost the same as mine. She was also by the river. It was also her and her young daughter in the tent. And in the early hours in the morning, she heard something slowly walking around her tent for about 10 minutes until it abruptly stopped. Ooh. That's gotta be like, to actually hear somebody have the same story of a paranormal experience as you do in roughly the same location. Like, what would you do? One, being in this scenario, you're in your tent, you're alone, no one around you except your family still a few feet away, and you hear footsteps walking in the middle of the morning, 4:53 for 10 minutes. What would you do? My favorite part, though, is the family giving a knife. Like, fair enough. You know, like, a knife's gonna help a bit. Something sat on my bed. Oh, this is a lengthy one. 6 upvotes, 7 comments, and this was posted 8 days ago on Paranormal Encounters Reddit. For this story, I'd like to let you know I had this big black tomcat that would come to me in the night and just sit at the end of my bed. Always. Call me. And knowing he was there, it was nice. For this story, it's important that I mention the stairs and the basement floor were carpet. And Buddy, the big cat, would come down at night and sleep at the foot of my bed every night when I went to bed. You would hear his claws catch the carpet, making a kind of Velcro ripping noise when he would take a step down. Because of how big he was, it could sometimes sound like someone walking down the stairs. If it wasn't due to his claws, I would think that someone was coming down. So anyways, this happened around 2 to 3 in the morning. School night, I wake up. Room's a pitch black. I close my eyes and I hide under my blankets. Also to add, until we moved, I had a massive fear of the dark. It wasn't until I was 17, 18, I was fine with it. But it was due to other paranormal events from my childhood that made me afraid of it. So I wake up, look at my alarm clock, and see the time. This happened years against. So I remember it reading roughly 2:43 a.m. I hide, trying to calm myself from suddenly waking up in the dark and trying to not focus on my heart beating out of my chest. Then I heard it. Slow, steady footsteps coming down the stairs. At first, I thought it was Buddy. Then my brain reminded me there was no Velcro noise. So I sat there, still in my bed, under my blankets, trying to breathe quietly. The footsteps started to walk towards me in my brother's room. Then, as if my worst fears, I heard them come up to my bed and stop. Now, this is a part that almost made my heart explode. In the quiet, I could faintly make out breathing. Something was standing next to my bed. I'm now locked in place. I can't move anymore. Thinking to myself to try and reach for a flashlight under the pillow and shine it to prove to myself it was all in my head. Then, by my feet, I felt my bed go down. As if someone had sat down at my feet. I nearly screamed for what felt like hours, but was mostly mostly likely minutes. I finally had that thought. Well, if this is it, if someone is at the end of my bed, and someone human in a small movement, I reached for my flashlight under my head. As soon as I felt it, I clicked it on and swung the blankets off of me, and as you can guess, nothing. Nothing at all. I freaking lose it. I ran to the light switch, by the way, at the bottom of the stairs, and sat awake on my bed for the next 3 hours till my dad got up for work. He found me and yelled at me for having my light on. Not the first time I've turned the light on in the middle of the night due to being scared, and then went to work. The worst part is, it never happened again. Not that exactly, other things, but not that. I don't know what it is, but I know it wasn't sleep paralysis, because I could have moved when I had awakened, and there was no one there. By the time I had used my light, no footsteps, no feeling the bed move, nothing. It creeped me out. If anyone's interested about other things I went through that has made me a firm believer of the paranormal, let me know. Always thank you for reading. I realized the start of my story was accidentally deleted. I was in the basement with my brother. The basement was the stairs, the hallway. Dun 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 dun. You know what? Let's reach out to them and see if they'd be interested on being on the podcast to share their story in person. That was a nice little read. Hey, it's Rob here. We've hit the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching the whole thing and making it this far. I really appreciate it. We go live at least once a week, usually around Wednesday or Thursday, to hear some stories or go through Reddit. Quite a couple spooky ones, so just re-listening through, kind of going through this edit here. There was a couple good ones, a couple, like questionable stuff, but you never know. Like, paranormals is so crazy. If you want to get a hold of me, you can inbox me at oopsallghost@gmail.com or message me in the chat, in the DMs, or TikTok under GingerList94. I want to hear from you guys, your paranormal encounters, and we'd love to have you on a one-on-one chat for you to tell your story. Thanks again, and stay spooky.
Footsteps creep, pulling close the fear. Lights flicker cold and a breath in ear. Tangled in webs where the past appears. Tell me your truths under moon's dead glow. Shadows dead.